Hello YouTube. So what many people get wrong is just exactly what a conservative is. Because not many people really know what an actual conservative believes in beyond what they heard about the neocons. Yeah, whatever you stereotype about conservatives, those are the neocons. They are not traditional conservatives in any sense. And I will lay it out right here, right now, just what a real conservative is. So a big accusation the conservatives usually get from both the left and certain anarchists on the right is that we're corporatists.
But essentially, conservatism is an umbrella term used to refer to people who believe in using political authority to uphold traditional institutions. It's about as accurate as I can get, and even that's a wonky definition considering that Republicans support things like Medicare and Social Security. Then there are the constitutionalists, the corporatists, the neocons. Basically, conservatism stands for a lot of shit, and none of it has anything to do with libertarianism.
Notice how he explains all the different branches of conservative without even going into detail of just what they actually mean. I personally lie within the Rand Paul faction of conservatism. While both me and Rand both believe in open and free markets and the maximization of personal choice, we also believe that some common sense restrictions have to be in place when it comes to moral issues such as abortion, prostitution, drug use, stuff like that. He has also been very critical of the neo-conservative movement, which has infested our party since about the 1990s.
Since the change of the political party in charge has not made a difference, who's really in charge? Someone is responsible, and it's important for those of us who love liberty and resent Big Brother government, identify the philosophic supporters who have the most to say about the direction our country is going. These are the neo-conservatives of recent fame. Granted, they are talented and achieved a political victory that all policymakers must admire. But can freedom and the republic survive this takeover? That question should concern us. Neo-conservatives are obviously in positions of influence and are well placed throughout our government and the media. The neo-conservatives, a name they gave themselves, diligently worked their way into positions of power and influence. Above all else, they were not and are not conservatives dedicated to limited constitutional government.
Because conservatives support using the state to manipulate the market, which is pretty much the exact fucking opposite of what libertarians want.
The neo-conservatives are the only ones who are saying the state should play any role in the actual marketplace, which doesn't make them sound that conservative. In fact, actual conservatives, like me, we believe the government shouldn't be involved in the marketplace at all, except when it comes to issues concerning the public good. Or when some corporation, let's say for example, dumps a bunch of toxic waste into a lake. Yeah, then some legal action needs to be taken. But other than that, there should be no excessive regulations that put up artificial barriers to entry that stop competition from entering the market. We do need to realize that we need to have a certain set of rules in place to maintain some sense of an objective moral order, such as making sure people don't get abortions and murdered babies, or reaffirming the existence of only two genders and not letting someone who just identifies as a woman, even though they're biologically not a woman, from using the woman's bathroom, and then understanding that if you leave humans to their own devices, it leads to certain people, as stated in the State of Nature by Leviathan, they're gonna do some damage, and that some restrictions are needed to be put in place to protect the good citizens from the scumbags and the parasites who hide behind lies and excuses to justify their lack of social responsibility. It's basically what Uncle Ben said in the first Spider-Man movie.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's basically us. And you still say we're not true libertarians because we're not in favor of privatizing everything that has a government label on it, such as police and criminal justice. But we tried that experiment and it failed. We tried private prisons and turned out they were horrible.
The surveillance video from a prison in Idaho shows one inmate attacking another, the beating continuing, even with a break before guards intervene. The Idaho Correctional Center is privately run, operated by Corrections Corporation of America. Lawsuits from inmates say the company pits prisoners against each other, covering up assaults, creating what is dubbed a gladiator school.
I had one inmate that was type 2 diabetic, I believe, so he knew what he needed to eat. His doctor on the outside knew what he needed to eat, but CCA felt that they knew it better, and they would keep giving him something, starches that he couldn't eat. And it was either you eat it or too bad, so sad. So it's either the CCA way or it's no way.
Corrections Corporation of America. The company runs 65 facilities, making it the largest operator of private prisons in the country.
We used to have gas masks for the officers in each housing unit, so if they had to gas one of the units, they took them all out. Again, they're looking to do the things the cheapest way they can, but make money for their higher echelons.
Oh, and this one's been thrown at us a lot. We are not racist here, and conservatism has nothing to do with judging people based on race. Racism is a form of collectivism, and real American conservatives, such as myself, are true to the word individualists, who judge people based on the content of their character, rather than some arbitrary traits such as skin color. Yet, oh, but you say we're racist because we want a border? That we want to regulate who can enter our country and who can't? Well, we need a border because not everyone who's coming across it is the saint. There's drug dealers, there's human traffickers, there's these horrible people who just want to take advantage of us and leech off our system. And we don't want that. In fact, the important part of preserving a liberal democratic society is to make sure that people who don't want to assimilate into that democratic society stay out of the country and don't ruin everything. Ah yes, the tariffs issue. And it's something that people from both the libertarian and the left-wing camps want to throw at us when they say we're not for economic freedom. But let me tell you this. The only reason we seek these tariffs is not to restrict free trade. It's to protect fair trade with countries that don't always play by the rules. Such as China, which is known to use slave labor, which is known to devalue its currency, which is known to flood the market with cheap, underpriced goods, cheap steel, that would drive our domestic steel workers out of business if we just let them get away with it. Free trade is not always a real option if you're doing business with an authoritarian regime who just wants to steal our wealth and doesn't play by the rules. So if they're not going to play by the rules, then why should we? It's also said we're hypocrites when it comes to gun rights, but let me tell you this. We love our guns, and we don't want our guns taken away. But we have to realize that weapons designed exclusively to destroy property and for warfare should be reserved for warfare. And besides, even if you could buy grenades over the counter, do you really expect them to handle high explosives with care, or be able to deal with the lawsuits that would ensue if they were to improperly store those explosives, causing them to detonate, destroying the neighbor's lawn in the process, or setting their house on fire, or killing someone? Yeah, leave it to the experts to handle the heavy ones. But the small arms, all those other guns, oh man, give me some of those. People say faith is a detriment to our cause, but I believe that without faith, where would we be as a society? Dead, cold, moral, alone. But we hold our faith close to our hearts, and we consider it an integral part of being a conservative. And you could say that these so-called civic nationalists, right-wing atheists, hold similar beliefs while also being secular, but they're just these hypocritical neoliberals who are just trying to distance themselves from the other leftists, and I have yet to meet an atheist who wasn't a self-righteous, fedora-tipping douchebag who thinks being an edgy asshole online is some great act of valor. If being in hell is being separated from God, then atheists are most definitely in it right now. But that just leaves one final question. Why would a young 23-year-old guy like myself be a conservative Republican? Why not? It emphasizes the individual and their achievements, supports the right to bear arms, is pro-free speech and pro-free press, besides the neocons, and we are staunchly competitive. What millennial wouldn't want to be conservative if they knew what it actually meant? And I stated what it actually meant. So, who wants to be conservative?